Man, this is Rage Youth Church, and I just wanted to give you a highlight of what we preached about on Wednesday. It's found in John 2:13 through 17. It says, it was the Passover, and Jesus went to Jerusalem. In the temple court, he found men selling cattle, sheep, dove, and others exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords, drove them from the temple area, both sheep, cattle, and scattered the coins all over the place, overturned the tables, and to those selling dove he said, "Get these out of here. How dare you turn my Father's house into a market?" The disciples remembered that it was written, "Passion for your house will consume me." Jesus went to the Passover. The Passover was a celebration of the Jews being freed from Egypt. So he goes there to check it out, to be a part of this, to pray in the temple. This stuff was going on in the temple courtyard. People were selling things. People came from all over the world to see to celebrate with the Passover. And you know what? The priest allowed these people in to sell, to make a quick fix. They were ripping people off. They were doing it in their own heart and using the church and using God's name for this. Saying, "Oh, well, we'll use the church. You have to buy sacrificial animals. You have to buy ours." These people that came from a far land had to exchange their own money for the money in Jerusalem. Not only did they have to exchange their own money, they got ripped off. Getting their money back, the people who were collecting the money kept some of it. And not only that, then they had to pay a temple tax just to get into the temple to worship. Then they had to sacrifice to God, because this is the time where they were sacrificing animals as a worship to God. And they thought, well, this isn't good enough. You foreigners, you have to buy our sacrificial animals. Can't you see why Jesus was so mad about this? And so they had to buy the sacrificial animals. They had to exchange their money and still got ripped off and exchange their money and then pay temple tax on top of that. And see, the Jews were only allowed in the temple. The Gentiles weren't. And a Gentile is a non-Jewish person. So like me, or maybe you weren't allowed in the temple. You could be in the temple courtyard right outside the temple to worship God. And again, can't you see why Jesus was so mad? In the temple courtyard is where they were selling cattle, is where they were exchanging money, and where they were charging people high prices to do anything. They were in the wrong place. They were literally preventing the people not to worship their God. And Jesus said, "Passion will consume me for my Father's house." And then he also said in another scripture that this will be a house of prayer for all nations. All nations. That's why he got mad. And you know what he did? He let his inner passion out. Students, it's time. People, anybody, it is time to let our inner passion out and stand for what is right. Stand for justice. Don't put up with injustice. Don't put up with sin. If you're at the movies and it's wrong and you know it's filthy, get up and leave. If somebody's cussing, you need to just tell them, I don't appreciate that. Could you not do that around me? Stand for what's true. God's looking for people to let out their inner passion and to stand for him. It's crazy that when you read this story, nobody else, all these people were there to worship God. They were all there at the Passover. Why didn't somebody that was there to pray stand up and say, "This is wrong"? See, God's looking for a person that will let out their inner passion and say, "No is no. This is wrong. We're here to worship God." They were using the church as a crutch. It's time to let out our inner passion. It really is. God's looking for a generation of people to let out their inner passion and serve him and stand for what is right and not compromise at all. Come see us at Rage Youth Church every Wednesday, 7 p.m., 275 West Viola, Casa Grande, Arizona. Can't wait to see you.